Indian Ridge embodies much of what makes Mount Auburn so special: the feeling of being surrounded by nature and wildlife, the sense of history as you stroll by notable burial sites, and the sweeping views over the cemetery's historic landscape. Mount Auburn has spent over 2 decades restoring natural spaces throughout our historic landscape. In 2020, turning our attention to Indian Ridge, one of the oldest areas in the cemetery and a popular birdwatching destination. We are launching a new landscape initiative redesigning Indian Ridge to provide improved habitat for wildlife and replace invasive species with a wider array of native plants. Indian Ridge is an important feature of Mount Auburn's early landscape and was drawn by surveyor Alexander Wadsworth on the cemetery's first plan in 1831. Once surrounded by wetland, it overlooked Garden Pond, now Halcyon Lake, Forest Pond, no longer extant, and Meadow Pond, now Auburn Lake. Founders Jacob Bigelow and Henry A.S. Dearborn were aware it was a trail used by Native Americans, and thus named it so. Prior to Mount Auburn Cemetery's founding, George Brimmer was the owner of the land that was to become Mount Auburn. Brimmer had purchased the 72 acres of land between Cambridge and Watertown, known as Stone's Woods or Sweet Auburn, with the aim of preserving it around the same time that Mount Auburn's founders were looking for a suitable tract of land for the founding of a rural cemetery. Brimmer's land, which incorporated rolling hills and forest in a tranquil setting on the outskirts of town, met their needs, and Brimmer was willing to sell his property to the Massachusetts Horticultural Society. Born on November 3, 1836, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he grew up in a Quaker family with strong abolitionist beliefs, Edward Needles Hallowell was a merchant in Medford, Massachusetts when the Civil War began. He enlisted as a second lieutenant with the 20th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry in January 1862 and saw action in the Peninsula Campaign and at Antietam and Fredericksburg. Edward then transferred to the 54th Massachusetts as a captain in March of 1863. The Massachusetts 54th was one of the first all-black regiments in the North, and Hallowell, a known abolitionist, was chosen by Governor John Andrew to help lead the regiment. Edward's brother Norwood, also buried in the family lot, was originally the lieutenant colonel of the regiment, but was soon transferred to take command of the all-black 55th Massachusetts Infantry. Thanks in large part to a generous grant from the Ruggiero Memorial Trust, the Friends of Mount Auburn Cemetery has raised just over half of the project cost, but we are now seeking supporters to help match this gift. Your gift will help us promote native wildlife and improve the cemetery's environmental impact. You can make a gift to support the project by selecting special projects under the Your Support tab on our website at www.mountauburn.org.